Hey everybody, my name is Najiha and I'm a program specialist at Fresh Approach. And this video is brought to you by Fresh Approach, but also by Leah's Pantry, who we've partnered with, as well as the Office of Sustainability from San Mateo County. Be sure to stay tuned at the end of the video to find out how you can get vouchers after watching our videos in order to spend at the farmers markets that we're partnered with. So today's video is all about preservation, specifically preserving your vegetables. First, I want to go over how to store your vegetables, what's the best method to clean them and then store them, and then also different strategies you could do to help them preserve long term. So let's start with washing. Sometimes when we bring our vegetables home, we don't really wash them before we store them. It's very good to wash them in a solution of vinegar and water in order to kill the bad bacteria that can cause your vegetables to go bad quicker. Distilled white vinegar is a great economical way to clean your fruits and vegetables. Pour 4 cups of water and 1 cup of distilled white vinegar. Put all your vegetables and fruits into that sink or a large bowl or container. Let it sit for about 10 minutes. After those 10 minutes, you want to strain away that water solution and then let your fruits and vegetables lay out on a nice clean towel so they can air dry. And then we can go ahead and store them in our designated areas of our kitchen. Curious as to exactly how we do that? You can check out another video that I created on fruit preservation, and I show you all how to create that solution in your sink with washing some mixed berries and how that looks. So let's talk about how we can store our vegetables so that they can last a lot longer. We'll break it down into 3 main categories. One is countertop space in our pantries or cabinets, whether it's airtight or not, and our refrigerator. Let's go over items that we want to leave on our counters and let's leave them in the open air. Among those are potatoes, other tubers like yams and sweet potatoes. Keep those in a cool, dry place, not airtight, and away from onions. Onions give off a gas that causes potatoes to turn green, which causes them to go rancid, and it expedites the eyes and the little sprouts that come out of them. When you store your potatoes, make sure that they are separate from your onions. And anything in the onion family. This includes white, yellow, red onions, but also the garlic family. Other vegetables that you want to keep on your counter are tomatoes and avocados. I highly stress that you don't put your tomatoes in the fridge or the refrigerator because if you do, it can cause the tomato to become mealy. Mealy is a very granulated texture. It's not that fresh, smooth texture that you usually get with the fresh tomato. Once you put it into the fridge, it can cause that to happen. Avocados is the same. If you want them to ripen, it's better to leave them out on the countertop as long as you can. Once they start getting overripe or slightly overripe, right, we can stick them in the fridge to deter the over-ripening process. All right, so now let's talk about different vegetable items that we want to store in airtight containers. These are going to be our legumes and our beans. So garbanzo beans, lentils, black beans, kidney beans, that sort of thing. You want to keep them in an airtight container, maybe something like this, a nice jar. If you buy in bulk, I highly recommend it. Fill your container and keep it in a nice lid like that and store it in your cabinets. Same with whole grains. So if you're buying rice and barley, that sort of thing, an airtight container is going to be your best. Carrots and beets, if they come with their full tops, sometimes you'll buy a carrot and it has a carrot top. You want to preserve the carrot top and the root vegetable, the carrot itself. Same with the beets. You can eat the whole root vegetable. To use carrot tops in different sauces, such as chimichurri, You can substitute the parsley for that. You can also use it in pesto sauce. It complements basil and other herbs as well. I treat it definitely like an herb. Beet stalks. I love to add that to my vegetable stocks. You can find a video on vegetable stocks on our various social media outlets. Other means of using beets are you can add them to your salads or your stews and different soups, or you can just throw them into your smoothies. But the key thing is to preserve your root tops and to cut them off as soon as you bring them home, because the longer that they stay connected to their root after they've been harvested, it will leach the nutrients. The tops will leach the nutrients from your root vegetable, and they will spoil a lot quicker. And last but not least, let's talk about what items we want to put in our refrigerator, right? In our refrigerators, we want to add our leafy greens, our asparagus, and our herbs. We also want to add non-starchy vegetables like broccoli and cucumber and bell pepper, as well as mushrooms. The key thing about mushrooms is that oftentimes it will come in a plastic package. That plastic packaging will cause it to mold faster. So when you get home, try to take that plastic packaging or avoid it altogether and put the mushrooms into a paper packaging instead, or glass. The paper will help it breathe and it'll last a lot longer. I suggest that at the store, if you can, at the farmer's market, refuse plastic. If you buy in bulk at a store, you can refuse the plastic that way and bring your own bag, whether it's like a cotton bag or a paper bag to fill your mushrooms. These are items we want to put into our refrigerator. When we store our herbs, we want to store them like flowers. That way they can stay hydrated if you put them into a glass with water in it, and to change the water out every couple days. Do the same thing with asparagus as well. Your leafy greens, you want to wash them really well, air dry them or pat them dry, and then store them in your crisper, either in a damp paper towel, or you can treat them also like flowers and put them into a water-like vase. Another amazing vegetable preservation technique is dehydration, which is really fun. You can make different chips, you can make different crunchy items to add to your salads with this, or you can have a nice little snack of fruits or vegetables to have on the go. Dehydration is taking the moisture out of the fruit or vegetable, specifically vegetables, right? Cut the vegetable in a way, let's say it's a thicker vegetable. Let's say you want to dehydrate carrots. You want to cut it thick pieces, about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, so that when it dehydrates, it shrinks, right? So if you cut it too thin, it could burn it while you're dehydrating, or if it's not thick enough, you won't have enough of it at the very end. Dehydrate and take away the moisture from something. You put it onto a device or in the oven at a very low temperature, which slowly eradicates the moisture out of the vegetable. So this fancy device is called a dehydrator. It's not very expensive. They all run at about under $100. You plug it in. You have your sliced vegetables up in these tiers, depending on how much you want to do and what you want to do. And if you don't have a fancy device like this, don't worry. You can do the same thing with a cookie sheet. I would just slice up those vegetables and put my oven on the lowest temperature setting, and periodically just check and see if it's the texture and the crunchiness that I want. Obviously making sure not to burn your vegetables in the process. The last couple strategies that you can use for food preservation. Pickling. Pickling is great. Pickling is the process of adding salt and vinegar and water in order for the vegetable to preserve itself. You can pickle different things like cucumbers, radishes, carrots, onions, cabbage, different root vegetables, and yeah, just have fun with it. And the last but not least of my favorite things to preserve is fermentation. And it's similar to pickling in the sense that it preserves things set in a water solution, but instead of using vinegar and salt, we're going to use different beneficial bacteria like yeast submerged with our vegetables in order for them to ferment. And when they ferment, they create these little air bubbles, and that's the bacteria, the beneficial bacteria reacting with the food that is the vegetable that it uses to preserve itself. And then it turns into probiotics that feed our gut so that we have a really good digestive tract. Today we're going to do a quick pickling recipe. This recipe is a curtido, which is a very special sauerkraut-like side salad that we put on pupusas. It's a Salvadorian meal and dish, a traditional Salvadorian meal and dish, and we usually serve it with this curtido recipe, which is a combination of cabbage, onion, and carrot in a vinegar and salt solution, along with a really good red sauce. And we pour that over the pupusas, which are just essentially, I call it the Salvadorian pizza, or quesadilla, I guess, where it's masa, and then we fill it with different types of cheese and different fillings like beans and meat. So what you'll need is half a head of cabbage to a full head of cabbage. This is about 3/4. I'll use most of it, if not all of it. You're going to need an onion or half an onion, and then a couple carrots. You need a nice large container. Don't worry, it's going to fit. It's going to be really compact. Some salt and vinegar, distilled white vinegar. And the trick is to thinly slice all these vegetables so that this vinegar and salt solution can penetrate the vegetables. All I'm going to do is thinly slice the cabbage. Get it as thin as you can. The thinner the better. It looks really nice on our meals too. You can add this to different savory dishes. It doesn't have to be on pupusas. You can add it to your salads. You can put it in your soups. You can put it on other savory Latin dishes as well. Sky's really the limit. You can let us know what you prefer to use it as well. So again, I'm going to thinly slice the cabbage. I'm going to thinly slice the onion and shred the carrot. I'm going to speed that up for you guys so it doesn't take too much time. So now that I've shredded my carrots and thinly sliced my cabbage, I heated up and boiled some hot water, and I'm going to let it sit in this hot water for about 10 minutes. Once I have drained my cabbage and carrot medley, I'm going to add the thinly sliced onion. I'm going to give it a good toss. A little bit of vinegar. Don't go overboard. It can get kind of sour. I'm going to add about a 1/4 cup. Just give it a nice coat. That's it. And I'm going to add my salt to taste. I usually do about 2 or 3 pinches. And that's it. Give it a good stir again. Let it sit in there, let it cool off as well. Preserve it in an airtight container like this. Fill it up to the very, very top so that there's barely any air in there, and it preserves for about 3 to 4 weeks after it's cooled off. Thanks for watching the video, and remember, you can redeem vouchers at our various farmers markets. The first 20 participants are going to receive guaranteed $6 in vouchers to spend at different farmers markets. After that, it's while supplies last. Thank you for your time, and we hope to see you at the next one.